What if the greatest empires in history didn't actually fall to swords, cannons, or invading armies? What if they collapsed quietly, not in flames, but in ink? No burning capitals. No conquering generals. No victory parades. Just signatures, interest rates, and promises written on paper. Here's the uncomfortable mystery. Today, almost every country on Earth is politically independent. Yet almost every country is in debt. And if debt exists, there must be a creditor. So the real question is not who is in debt. The real question is who holds the chain. This is the story of how debt replaced empires without violence. Welcome to its financial history too. For most of human history, power was loud and visible. Empires ruled through force. Rome conquered with legions. Mongols ruled with terror. European powers expanded through cannons and colonies. Control was direct, brutal, obvious, but violence was expensive. Armies required constant funding. Rebellions never stopped. Empires expanded faster than they could manage, and eventually, they collapsed under their own weight. Slowly, quietly, a different kind of power emerged. Not from kings or generals, but from merchants and bankers. In places like Venice, Genoa, and Florence, a dangerous realization took shape. Land did not need to be conquered to be controlled. Rulers could be financed instead. Kings needed money for wars. Wars were unpredictable. Taxes were never enough. So rulers borrowed. At first, borrowing looked like a tool. A temporary solution. But it changed the balance of power in ways no one fully understood. Bankers did not fight wars. They funded them, often on both sides. If a king won, the debt was repaid with interest. If he lost, the debt did not disappear. It transferred to successors, to new regimes, or to the people themselves. Armies could be defeated. Dynasties could fall. Debt survived all of it. By the 17th century, this system matured into something permanent. The invention of national debt transformed borrowing from an emergency into a structure. When the Bank of England was created in 1694, it normalized something revolutionary. Governments no longer aimed to eliminate debt. They aimed to manage it. Debt became permanent. Interest became eternal. From that moment on, nations stopped asking how to pay off what they owed and started asking how to service it. Power quietly shifted. The state no longer ruled money. Money began to rule the state. As empires expanded, their debts expanded faster. Britain ruled the seas, but financed wars through borrowing. France's monarchy collapsed under financial pressure long before revolutionaries stormed the streets. Spain's global empire drowned in loans backed by silver that never arrived. Expansion required spending. Spending created debt. Debt demanded growth. Growth eventually slowed. But debt remained. At a certain point, debt stopped serving the empire. The empire began serving the debt. Colonial empires became increasingly expensive to maintain. Revolts spread. 2 world wars shattered the old imperial order. By the mid-20th century, empires officially ended. Colonies gained independence. Flags were lowered. National anthems were written. The world celebrated freedom. But something strange happened. Control did not vanish. It transformed. After World War II, a new global financial architecture emerged. Institutions were created to stabilize economies, prevent chaos, and promote development. On paper, the mission was noble. In reality, it produced a new hierarchy. Power no longer came from occupying land. It came from controlling credit. Countries in crisis were offered help, but help came with conditions. Cut social spending, privatize assets, open markets, restructure economies to ensure repayment. Sovereignty was not taken by force. It was negotiated away under pressure. Debt did not conquer nations overnight. It rewired them. Over time, debt stopped being a response to crisis and became the foundation of modern governance. Governments rolled over debt instead of repaying it. Central banks created money to keep the system alive. Asset prices soared while real wages stagnated. Productive economies hollowed out as financial speculation dominated. The consequences appeared slowly, then all at once. Inequality widened. Austerity became normal. Financial systems grew fragile. Crises repeated with frightening regularity. The collapse of 2008 was not a surprise. It was a warning. Trillions were created overnight, not to save people, but to save the system itself. Private losses became public burdens. Debt tightened its grip. Still, there were no tanks in the streets. No invading armies, just balance sheets. Every generation promised reform, debt relief, structural adjustments, new monetary systems, fresh starts. But the fixes failed because they treated symptoms, not the structure. The system demanded endless growth, endless borrowing, endless consumption. But reality had limits. Populations aged, productivity slowed, resources strained. Debt grew faster than the real economy. When growth could not keep up, the illusion was preserved through inflation, financial engineering, and asset bubbles. Each delay made the reckoning worse. Debt does not collapse dramatically. It lingers. It drains energy. It reshapes priorities. It turns nations into managers of obligations rather than architects of futures. Today, global debt exceeds $300 trillion, more than 3 times the value of everything produced in the world each year. Most countries cannot repay what they owe. They can only refinance it. Households live in lifelong credit cycles. Students graduate already indebted. Governments promise futures funded by borrowing from generations not yet born. The empire did not disappear. It decentralized. Power now flows through currencies, interest rates, and access to credit. You do not need soldiers when markets can punish disobedience overnight. A downgrade. Capital flight. Currency collapse. The chain is invisible, but it is real. This story reveals 3 uncomfortable truths. Debt is never neutral. It always shifts power from borrower to lender, and at scale, that shift reshapes sovereignty itself. Empires did not die. They changed form. Flags fell, but financial dominance replaced territorial rule. And the system is not designed to be resolved. It is designed to survive. Collapse is delayed, not prevented. Every empire believed it was different. Every generation believed it was smarter. But systems built on endless debt eventually face a choice: reset honestly or break chaotically. The question is not whether the chain tightens. The question is who understands it before it does. If this story made you rethink money, power, and freedom, subscribe for more deep dives into the hidden mechanics of history and finance. Because the most powerful forces shaping your future rarely announce themselves. And the quietest chains are often the strongest.